Let's see if I can get my slide up. Today I'm here to tell a little story about being Faith's father. I have 3 children, and Faith is my firstborn. I run this blog called mrbrown.com. Some of you may have heard of it. And from time to time, I share about my family, as well as in between making fun of the government. And it's a lot of fun to share. It didn't start out that way. I started out just writing about things that made me annoyed, and I started out sort of laughing at stuff. And then somewhere along the way, I started writing about family because I got married, and then Faith was born. So that's how the site kind of evolved. This is a picture of Faith. She is 11 this year, and she attends AWA. She has attended AWA for a very long time, and this picture came out of passport photo taking. As you know, it's difficult enough to take photographs of children for passport, but you try getting an autistic child to take a passport photo is quite challenging. We finally got the shot, though. Yeah. Got a response? Excellent. This is where I stay. It's an HDB flat. I've stayed here for, 25 years. It's a long time. My mom, I grew up here, and then later when I got married, I stayed close to my parents because you never know when you need their help, and we've never regretted that decision to stay near. It is in Aljunied, GRC, yeah, which, as you know, right now is Hammer country. This is my family. That's Isaac over there. Faith's in the middle, and the youngest one, the princess of the family, is Joy. Joy is in primary 1 now, and Isaac is in primary 3. He can't be with us today because he has exams coming, his very first real exams. He's very stressed out. And he's at home right now being tekan by my mom and my wife. Yeah, and the reason why we're all dressed up is because we were at a wedding. And the reason why I'm dressed up today is because I was at a wedding as well. Yeah, so normally I don't dress like this. This is Faith. Yeah, she's very pretty. Thought I'd share a little bit about how she came into our lives. This was the very first day when Faith was born. She came 12 days early. Faith was born in Mount Alvernia, and the wife woke me up at 4 a.m. and said, "My water's broke, we got to go." And we rushed down to Mount Alvernia. My late father was the only person available at that point in time because my mom was overseas, so he grabbed everything and we all went to the hospital. I had to park the car, so when my late father went in with my wife, the nurses thought that was her husband. My dad looks very young. So when I came in, he's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "I'm the husband." I said, "Who's the other one?" That's my father. "Oh, he cannot be inside." So, had to chase her out. Faith came out very quickly, within an hour or two. By 8 a.m., she was out. And what happened was, this is immediately after Faith came out, and that's a very relieved mommy over there from the natural childbirth. She had a little bit too much laughing gas because she got over-enthusiastic, and she was like, breathing too much of it, and at one point she was a little bit blur, but Faith came out okay. Then, half an hour after this, the doctor discovered that my wife's bleeding didn't stop, and she was having postpartum bleeding, hemorrhaging. So they had to wheel her in to she looks fine here, right? But they had to wheel her into the surgery because she was losing too much blood. So she was in there for a very long time. The doctors told me that they used up about 4 bags of blood, 2 bags of plasma. And she was put into ICU immediately for observation because she was not out of the woods yet. The doctor told us that it was very fortunate that Faith came out very early, because if she didn't come out early enough and this bleeding continued, the loss of blood pressure would affect the baby, because they're linked inside, sharing the same blood pressure. And she was in there for 3 days. She didn't see Faith for 3 days. The only time she saw her was that first half an hour. And this is the 3rd day after she came out of ICU. So, we had a very dramatic first few days with Faith. But, after paying the very hefty medical bill, we thought everything was fine. And this Faith when she was first week old. But after that, we started noticing different things about Faith. In the first year, she looks like a healthy baby, right? You don't see anything in her. But we noticed behavioral problems. She was very obsessed with fans going round and round. She wasn't interacting with other children. You give her a car, she will turn the wheel, and she can stare for hours at things that go round and round. And these are not good signs. We had a friend who had an autistic child, so we were aware of some of the issues. And Faith loved water. Yeah, there's something about the sensory nature of water that, she just totally goes nuts. So to this very day, you have to keep an eye on her, hold her tightly when you walk past the pool, because she will go for it. This is Faith on her first day at AWA. Isn't that awesome? She was the first of 2 children in the EPIC program, because at that time, I think AWA just got funding, and they immediately swung into action. They called us up and said, we have a place for her. And you have no idea how relieved we felt, because we were told there was a 3-year waiting list at Rainbow and any of the other schools. So we were very, very, very worried, because we didn't know where to go. We knew she had a condition with autism, but we didn't know where to go. And AWA came in and saved the day. So she was one of the youngest students in AWA, I think, at the time. No uniform was available for her yet, so she went to school in her own clothes. She had one other classmate, a boy. And it was a lot of fun. I think she really enjoyed herself. Faith has all kinds of sensory issues. One of the things that we had to deal with was her fear of prams. She gets you put her in a pram, you push, she gets frightened, she runs out, because she cannot deal with the movement. This was in 2004. She was a few years older, and she finally conquered her fear of riding in a pram, and it was a very big deal for us. We were like, hey. Of course, by this time, she was a little bit too big for the pram. Well. Yes, she loves water. As I said, it's not just pools. One day, we didn't hear from her for a while. So when there's silence, there's trouble. And we went looking for her in the entire house, and we found her inside the toilet. There was a pail of water in there, and she made a swimming pool of her own. She went in herself. Yeah, this is just one of her pools. This was when Faith went for her first EEG. We had to do a brain scan, and she wasn't a very happy girl. Hospital visits are very challenging when you have a child with autism, because you can't tell them what to expect, and you can't use words to calm them down. They don't understand why they're there, and they don't understand why, they are in hospital, they're not at home, where things are orderly and where things, an environment they're used to. This was when Faith fell sick. When children with autism, in her case especially, where there's no speech, and they fall sick, it's a real challenge, because they can't tell you, right? They can only cry and refuse to eat and drink. In this case, it was a throat infection. And you really have to start being like a doctor yourself, you've got to figure out what your child is affected by. And we had to bring her to the hospital. It's not because of the throat infection. The only reason we were there was because she was refusing to eat and drink. So they had to put her on a drip. Yeah? And you know how challenging it is to put a drip on a child with autism? She would keep yanking it out. Blood would be, all over the place. So we had to tie her to the bed. That was painful. I think we've never had to do something like that before. We did it twice, and it was not pleasant. This is Faith this year. She's very big now. You can see she's got long legs. She's very, graceful and very quick on her feet. I'll get to that in a while. But Faith also likes to swim, even to this day, and her event at the AWA Sports Day was swimming. She didn't come in first, but she made it across, which we are very proud of. The teachers are excellent and very, very patient with her. That's her in the water. Yeah, she's awesome. So, I'm here to tell you a story of Faith, finding her one day. When I say finding, it means we lost her. Not that long ago, this year actually. This is Dhoby Ghaut MRT. What happened was, the wife decided to take all 3 children out one day because she was not working, so she was on leave. She took Faith, Isaac, and Joy to Plaza Singapura because there was a dinosaur thing. And I think she was a little bit ambitious. You used to be able to do it because the children were younger and smaller, but time passes very fast and you don't realize your child is now 11 years old and a much stronger, faster, bigger person. Anyway, she brought all 3 without the domestic helper's assistance. And she went there, and then after Faith started acting up, because Plaza Singapura is very crowded, she said, okay, we can all go home now. So they went to the station. Joy tapped the card, no problem. She tapped the card, no problem. And then Isaac tapped his card, and it didn't work. So they went to station control. All this while, my wife was holding Faith's hand. And, when you're all very preoccupied with things like this, you're very bang zang, we call it in Cantonese. Card doesn't work, and then you try to sort out this thing at the station control. You forget. And then her hand loosened on Faith's, the grip loosened, and then Faith ran. After she sorted out the card, she turned around and she suddenly realized Faith wasn't by her side. She asked Joy, it's a very strange thing, right? You ask your youngest child, what does she know? Where is Tete? Joy went, I don't know. Isaac's like, I don't know. She ran. Not there. She panicked. She ran around asking for help. She asked station control. Station control, being station control, thought that they could help by, oh yeah, okay, you got lost child, no problem. And my wife was trying to explain to them, this is not a regular child. This is a child with autism. She doesn't speak. She doesn't respond to being called, at least not if you're not her family. And we're talking about, you're dealing with a person who has the legs of an 11-year-old, but the mentality of a 5-year-old or even less. Station control said, no problem, we send transit cops go and look for your child. And then they make an announcement. Faith Lee, please come to station control. Your mother looking for you. Yes. My poor wife was just livid. She had no idea how to tell them that, you really needed to go and look for them, for her. She called me. I was at work, not very far away, and I dropped everything and I rushed down. On hindsight, I was a little harsh on her. I was really, really angry. I'm like, why did you bring the 3 children alone? What were you thinking? Men are like that, right? Like, take charge, no empathy one. Poor woman's like totally losing her mind, and you go like, why you do that? Then, I rushed down, and I went to station control. I tried to get a sense of things, like what's going on. Have you seen her? What have you done? Oh yeah, we kind of send guys there, looking for her in the screen here. And I'm like, have you seen her in the screen? Yeah, we kind of saw her maybe heading towards Circle Line there. I'm like, have you sent people there or not? I think we have. So I rushed down to Circle Line, and I went down. Door was open. There's a train waiting there, It's the very first station, CC1. And it was about to go, and I looked around. I even looked into the train, I called her name. You forget about being like paise, Faith! Faith! Like, My wife went through that once when Isaac was lost. The same thing in the shopping center. Isaac! You have no more shame, like, go to find the kid. No, she wasn't there. I went back up. I said, if you saw her heading that direction, do you think she took the train? Can you see from your cameras? Station control, this is Northeast Line. I don't know, our cameras only go until there. In order to see, you have to ask the Circle Line station control. They got the camera there. I'm like, you all don't talk, two different stations. Oh. So but he very helpfully said, but I think she took the train already. Yeah, thanks. I go to station control at the Circle Line, and I asked, and they were also very on the ball. They were like, yeah, I think she took the train. Based on our camera, I think she might have boarded the train. Now, you got to understand Circle Line, right? First of all, Dhoby Ghaut is already scary enough a place. Have you been to Dhoby Ghaut? Right, it is, like even for regular people, you can get lost. I can go in there, I'm like, oh. Then the escalator's like, oh, and I can't find my way around there. Imagine losing a child there. So at that point in time, my first instinct was, I got Twitter friends, right? 70,000 of them, right? I sent out this message. So I sent out, a message with a picture of her, and I tell everyone on my Twitter feed, look out for her. And people at Dhoby Ghaut Station who happened to be there, I found out later, actually looked. People were helping to look for her. That was just amazing. And this thing was retweeted like crazy until the news media got involved. Everyone was just saying, oh, look out for Faith. So losing a child in Dhoby Ghaut is scary enough. Then finding out that she might have taken a train. Circle Line, that is number 1 station. It travels around Singapore, and then it goes back to Harbourfront. It's a long ride. It's about an hour, maybe even longer. So by that time, I gave her all the pictures. Then I talked to Circle. By that time, as I was about to board the train, my youngest brother had joined me. I had a friend who was helping me out. My mom came after her mahjong session. Caregivers got to play mahjong. They need their time off, She's like, I'm here, I'm coming down. So my mom came, and the station control at Circle said, someone spotted her at Bishan Station, heading towards Harbourfront. So, okay, we have to have a plan. I told my youngest brother, I said, come with me. We will take a train from here, Dhoby Ghaut, to Harbourfront, and hope to intercept her using a Northeast Line, which is shorter. We hope to get there earlier. Meanwhile, I told my wife, you take the train on Circle Line, you just take one at a time, see whether she comes out of the train, right? In case she gets out. So we do that. And we get to Harbourfront, and then we stand at the Circle Line waiting for the train, and we're thinking, maybe this might be the one, because, we just calculated based on the time that she was seen at Bishan, and we worked out the math, intercept, like science fiction like that. Train came. At that time, I found another friend from my church. He happened to be just finished work. He works near Harbourfront. I roped him in as well. So 3 of us, my youngest brother, myself, my friend, we stood at the platform. And by that time, we were joined by some Circle Line staff. Train came, doors open. Okay, we go in. Each person at different points to look for Faith. And then the minute we went in, we heard, toot, 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 doors closing. I'm like, everybody out. So I get out. My brother gets out. Michael, my friend, stuck inside. Boom, door closed. And my youngest brother was totally furious. What's wrong with these people? Why can't they hold the doors a little longer to let us search the train? He was like, want to fight already. I'm like, it's okay. Let's calm down. Michael's on the train. Let him sweep the train while he's on he's going to drive back to Telok Blangah anyway. Let him do that. We'll wait here for the next train. And I call him up and I say, Michael, you can see her on the train? Not on the train. Okay, you get off at Telok Blangah, then you take the next train, then you come back to Harbourfront, and as you are in the train, you search the whole carriage again. Okay, on. Got game plan. Men got to do this, or else we'll go mad. Right? My wife was already like crying and all that. I'm just trying to keep it together, yeah? He reaches Telok Blangah. Michael calls me up and says, hey, Brown, I found Faith there. I'm like, she's there? No, you saw Faith? Or you found her? No, she's here right in front of me. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, the station control guy, there's a staff with her, and they took her off the train. Apparently, she was acting up on the train. Thank God for autistic children who totally freak out on the train and lie down on the floor and laugh. These things used to be very embarrassing for us. Nowadays, I'm like, yeah, freak out if you are unhappy, right? I get on the train, I call my wife, she's totally relieved. We all converge at Telok Blangah, myself, my youngest brother, Michael was there. And we found her. And I sent out a tweet to tell everyone we found her. Apparently, on the train, she was very frightened. And when she's frightened, she giggles and laughs. That's how she deals with things. She was on the floor, lying there, legs in the air and laughing. And everyone's like, siao. Someone told the staff that someone, and the staff took her off the station at Telok Blangah. And one station before Harbourfront. So we were on the right track. I think that was about the train that we got on and closed door, that was probably the one that she got off. So we reunited with everybody at Dhoby Ghaut. Getting her to Dhoby Ghaut to meet the rest of the family was another thing altogether because, by that time she's like, I'm not taking a train anymore. She was totally frightened, like you can tell. She was laughing and giggling, but, when you touch a child, it's cold already. Skin is cold, that kind of cold. Scared. Because she literally took a train around the whole island. And we got her to Dhoby Ghaut, and it's fun, interesting, on the train you see people behave like someone pretending to sleep in the handicapped seat. Then you are dealing with this child, and she's like squirming, and people don't really understand why the child is behaving like that. Then suddenly someone realizes, oh, this one needs help, okay, or give up seat. Then you put Faith down there, and then you're trying to keep her seated, but common sense will tell you the other seat should be freed up so that the parent can sit next to the child. But it took a while, and then I had to excuse me, can I have this seat as well? So that I can sit next to my, very, very agitated autistic child. So that was a real challenge getting back to Dhoby Ghaut. But we finally managed to, my mom's very, very, as a caregiver, my mom's very take charge. She's like, okay, we all now, everybody's hungry. It's 9 something, almost 10. We must have dinner. So we all go for dinner at Newton Hawker Center. And she was having her food. So now, she doesn't travel without her road ID. We are looking at other options, but she had ID on her at that time. She had an MRT card, but she dropped it when she was squirming on the floor, but we managed to get it back. But we make sure that at least she has her road ID. It's actually for runners. When you go running, then you don't carry wallet, right? Because you're very garang, and then you only have a singlet, pants maybe. But you carry this with your blood type and on the emergency call. So I made one for her quite some time ago. She wears it now every time we remember. Yeah, but we try. That's the road ID. This one I have never shared before. Actually, a few days later, I got a call from the president's office. And someone from there said that, the guy over there. Yeah. President Tony Tan actually was so relieved that we found Faith. He actually wrote this, hand wrote this note on a memo paper to be given to me. So that was very touching. And it was hand-delivered by one of his staff. So this is going to be framed at some point in the house, right? But I did tell the wife, I said, you better lock it up in your drawer because Faith will take out and it's a little crumpled already. Few days later, we decided to take Faith. We already planned a holiday for the whole family to Bandung. And the first decision we had to make immediately after this event was, shall we take Faith for this holiday? Can we deal with this? And then we decided, forget about it. Let's just do it. So we all went to Bandung, took a plane there. Her very first plane ride. Very, very garang. 1.5 hours. Went to Bandung, Indonesia. Had a great time. That's Isaac driving a go-kart against all safety rules. In Indonesia, like no law one. I looked at the car and maybe I should sit next to you, then it's like too small, but sometimes you have to take a bit of risk, because let your child grow and let them, he was like, all good. That's Faith trying out the trampoline. She really enjoys trampolines. I think the teachers might know. I thought I'll just end with something that my wife couldn't be here because she's, representing my household at a wedding, at a cousin's wedding. But this is something that we recorded some years ago, near National Day. I did a version of this called I'm Singaporean. And then my wife agreed to do her version of it. We recorded this in the living room at midnight because the children were already asleep, and I brought the recording equipment. I remember sitting in the living room with her, and she wrote her own words to express what she felt about being a Singaporean. And then she recorded it in the dead of night. And then I shared it on my blog next day. So I thought I would share a parting word from Faith's mommy. That is Faith when she was less than a year old. Her Rolly-Polly age. Like macam bapao like that. That's the cutest, very, very cute stage. Then after that, she's very skinny and lanky already. But that's a round face. So I thought I'll share this and end with this.
I am a tailor's daughter. My father is Hakka and my mother is Hainanese. I had to pay $5 for school fees instead of $2.50 because my parents were Malaysian then. I still remember the smell of supper treats my father brought home. Smells of satay, popiah or char siu bao. Once, a monkey grabbed and ate my ice cream in kindergarten. My grandfather snatched it back and gave it back to me. In the 70s, when I was in primary 3, our shophouse burned down. Kallang Park Wonderland was my happiest place on earth. I loved to draw, but my father laughed and said, "You cannot make money drawing in Singapore." I hate watching movies where evil people betray good people, even when I know there is a happy ending. I fast forward the bad parts away. I dated my husband for 8 years before we got married. We have been together for more than half our lives. Pa, Ma, Lo Ye, Lai Lai, I could not have coped with having Faith, Isaac and Joy without all your help. Thank you. I'm still waiting for Faith, who is autistic, to talk and call me Mummy. I am Mrs. Brown. My name is Jeannie, and I am a Singaporean. So say we all. So say we all.
Thank you.
A big round of applause right there for Mr. Brown.
Thank you
of course,
much,
before
Mr.
Mr. Brown leaves the stage, if let's say we have some questions, because we had Q&A for some of our storytellers. If we have some questions for you, we can actually go on to the website to send.
Feel free to send me an email at mrbrown@mrbrown.com. I'm happy. If I cannot help you, I'll pass you to my wife. She's actually responded to quite a lot of questions about autism in the last, 7 or 8 years. Somehow or other, we do get questions coming our way, and we try our best to answer them. We are lay people, we are not experts, but I think sometimes people just want a listening ear. And my wife especially is a very good listening person. That's why I talk so much. And you can write me at mrbrown, mrbrown.com. My Twitter handle is @mrbrown. You can reach me in all these ways, and we can chat and share stories and cry together.